Hey everyone, Rich Bennett here. I'm excited to tell you about something we're doing for National Recovery Month. Here at Conversations with Rich Bennett, we're holding a special event called the Podathon for Recovery, 12 Days of Hope. For 12 consecutive days, we'll release a new episode dedicated to powerful conversations about addiction, recovery, and hope. And we're doing this to raise vital funds for an incredible nonprofit, Rage Against Addiction. They are on the front lines providing sober living homes, recovery coaching, and essential support to families. We believe recovery is a journey worth celebrating, and your support can make a tangible difference. Every donation, no matter the size, goes directly to them, helping to save lives and provide a second chance. So please join our mission. You can start donating right now. Simply go to conversationswithrichbennett.com and you'll see the donation thing right there so you can donate and help these women in recovery. Hey everyone, it's Rich Bennett. Can you believe it? The show is turning 10 this year. I am so grateful for each and every one of you who've tuned in, shared an episode, or even joined the conversation over the years. You're the reason that this podcast has grown into what it is today. Together, we've shared laughs, tears, and moments that truly matter. So I want to thank you for being part of this journey. Let's make the next 10 years even better.
Coming to you from the Freedom Federal Credit Union Studios, Harford County Living presents Conversations with Rich Bennett.
Slow pitch transplant.
I never played softball. It's probably the least sexy part of work, and I don't have this answer. It's okay. No. The truth is...
So what if the path to financial freedom wasn't just about dollars and cents, but about healing, purpose, and resilience? Today's guest knows that journey deeply. He's been homeless. He's battled addiction. He's faced down cancer. And through it all, he discovered something most financial experts miss entirely. Money isn't just a math problem. It's a mental health conversation. I'm joined by Matt Paradise, award-winning author, nationally recognized financial educator, and keynote speaker. But more importantly, he's someone who has lived through rock bottom and emerged with a message that's transforming lives. Matt helps people break free from financial shame and stress by teaching what he calls whole health wealth, a powerful blend of practical money strategies, emotional healing, and purposeful living. So if you've ever felt anxious about your bank account, stuck in the old money stories, or unsure how to talk about finances without fear or shame, this is the conversation you need to hear. So we're going to dive into a story of radical transformation and real-world tools with Matt Paradise. How's it going, Matt?
It's going well, Rich. I'm grateful to be here and have this conversation.
Oh, my pleasure. Look, I want to start from the beginning because, your journey is nothing short of incredible. From homelessness and addiction to becoming a nationally recognized financial educator. Can you take us back to the beginning and walk us through your lowest point to, which I guess now would be your highest point?
Yeah.
No pun intended there, by the way.
That was not a drug reference for listeners.
Of course
It's been a journey. It's been a journey really lined with grace. It's really by grace that I'm here.
Right.
So I grew up in Connecticut, Northeast, born and raised New England. And at blue collar family, my dad was an iron worker all his life. And that was back in the days before there were OSHA and safety and all of that kind of thing. But he sacrificed to raise a family and break some cycles of trauma that he grew up with. So amazing in a lot of ways. I, as a teenager, really started to struggle with some existential thoughts in crisis in my mind. I didn't necessarily see a path to financial freedom, well, just surviving, really. I didn't want to be an iron worker. I saw the toll that it took on my dad's body. It was really hard work. I mean, I give credit to him.
Not healthy either.
It's not. It's difficult. And I mean, like I said, that was when I say without OSHA, I mean, days of cutting asbestos blocks, welding with asbestos blankets, and we learn. We do the best we can until we know better than we do better. And fortunately, ironworking has progressed. It's still not easy. And that wasn't the path that I really wanted. That, for me, growing up was an area of shame because it looked like we didn't have as much, and we didn't have as much as other kids going to school whose parents picked them up in a suit or whatever that it was. At the time, as a teenager, I didn't respect my dad for his job, and there was conflict, like in many dad-son kind of teenage relationships, full of angst and all of that. You're nodding approvingly, like you know that all too well.
My father was a steel worker.
Okay, yeah. So some similar kind of background. It not easy work by any stretch, but it was honest work. So he was able to lay his head on his pillow at night and feel good that he earned money to support his family and put food on the table. So we weren't lacking from that standpoint. We had a roof over our head. We had food on the table. We were getting by. I wanted more. I didn't want, as a teen, especially, the existential thoughts that I had where, is this all that there is? You just kind of go through life, work really hard, sacrifice, and that's it. There's got to be more. So as a curious teen, I always read a lot and got into from Nietzsche to Taoism to all kinds of stuff. My curiosity also led me to drugs. And as a teen, especially by sophomore year, was really what I call addicted. And when I say addicted, drinking was a daily thing. I would drink before school, during school, drugs, smoked a lot of marijuana, and a school psychologist actually said, when it came to drugs, keep an open mind. And I took that to heart, and I did keep an open mind and tried just about everything. And that combined with rebellious nature at the time, I always loved learning, but school wasn't my jam. I didn't enjoy traditional learning. I would prefer to sit there and debate teachers, and they didn't like that. And lots of conflicts with school. As a rebellion, I would do other kids' homework, a friend's homework. I remember getting an A on Jessica's paper that I wrote, and I wouldn't turn in my own because I'm going to stick it to him. And I mean, just kind of my frame of mind at the time. I don't recommend it. I don't advocate for it. And it doesn't make any sense now in retrospect. But that's how it was for me at the time. After a while just of using and abusing and really not seeing a future. And I think that that's an important point for listeners, that you might not be able to relate to my drug addiction and use, but trying to imagine a future and not being able to see clearly something greater than where we are currently, having hope and thinking that there's hope for just whatever it might be, even if we can't clearly picture it, having hope for a better situation than where we are currently, whether at any age and stage, really, in life. And that was me. I didn't have a clear hope or vision for my future. And as a result, the decisions that I made day in, day out were not in the best interest of my future self, because I didn't picture a future self. I pictured me here now, and there was pain and anxiety and stress, and I didn't want to feel all that. That's miserable. So I really tried to numb it. High school was
You were in the moment.
Go ahead.
You were in the moment. I mean, I was the same way. Back in school, it was like I didn't have a career path or anything. I was the same way. I mean, I remember, because my father's bar was fully stocked. I would take a tennis ball can and I would just grab different whiskeys and fill it up. And me and my buddies would sit in the woods before school and drink that, or get high, or both, you know, and it just, I was in the moment. I had no idea what I wanted to do. Well, I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a rock star. And that, well, obviously that didn't happen.
You are a rock star, Rich, just in a different way that you didn't quite imagine as a teen.
Oh, no, I was going to be on stage but no, I'm with you there. It's, And it's hard.
It is hard.
It's hard. When you're trying to get that focus, and it wasn't until I actually joined the Marine Corps is when I was able to focus more. Even though I was drinking, not doing the drugs, but I was drinking. The drugs came again after the Marine Corps, and I lost focus again.
Yeah.
And, but now, I definitely more focused than ever before. So, all right, with you, when you were, all right, so you had the addiction going on, and this is still in school, right? So what happened after school?
So I was there at my school for 4 years, though I really showed up to sell drugs, and my parents gave me the ultimatum that I either sobered up or leave. And it, for me, wasn't that simple. Just kind of changing on a dime. And when I say a dime, they weren't looking like overnight, but we tried AA, we tried NA. And I mean, for any real change to come about, we need a combination of intrinsic and extrinsic motivations. If we're not internally motivated to really change, then it's not going to happen. Somebody can wish us well, they can encourage us, they can push us, but all that external pushing, encouraging, motivating, as positive as it might be, isn't going to change somebody. We need to want that change as well. And that's the combination. We also need that encouragement, that love, that grace, that motivation. Sometimes for me, I needed quick, swift kick in the butt and tough
Didn't
love.
we all?
We all do. Yeah. Different. I still do sometimes. My wife and I come to the table with different strengths, different weaknesses. And sometimes she's there to give me, out of love, a quick, swift kick in the butt.
Mine does too.
Yeah. She helps me be better in so many ways that, that's a whole nother podcast that we could take hours. She's an incredible woman, and I'm grateful. So the question about what happened after high school. So I bounced around. It was one of homeless years were really through high school. I slept outside sometimes. After that ultimatum, I left my parents' house. I was about 15 or so, and slept on couches, slept on floors, wherever I could find a spot. I remember until I got kicked out, one friend had a tree house in her yard. Again, my circle of network were teens, were other kids. It was on her property, and it was kind of a nice little tree house. And I slept there until her dad found out and kicked me out. And really just bounced around, found wherever I could, whatever ways to survive. And I didn't always know when my next meal was going to come, but really survived through drugs and drug culture, selling drugs, and went all in on that. So I knew that my life and choices, it was inevitable that they'd lead to death, jail, or insanity, and I needed to change. So one of the houses I was living in with an older woman and a few other high school friends, we were selling drugs and having crazy parties, and the police were there and raided the place often, and eventually knew that it was just a matter of time before they caught us. We would bear the drugs, whatever else, try not to get caught, but needed change. And tried to find that by moving. So that's where I first came to Massachusetts, was moving from that house in Connecticut with that same woman to a friend of a friend who owned a construction company. And that was the first place I moved to Massachusetts. We grew marijuana in the basement. It was not radical change from an intrinsic point of view. And anybody, again, not all listeners are going to be able to relate to drinking and drugging, and I don't recommend that you start now. But any problem, any growth that we want, when we try to just move somewhere else without doing that internal work, we bring all our baggage with us. We're the same person, just a different place. And that was the case with me. I did cut off a lot of other relationships that were negative influences as I tried to change, but still,
which is a plus.
It is a plus. It's a start. And I think that that's an important note as well. Wherever we are, we need to address where we are currently, fully acknowledge that, and take the next best step.
Yeah.
Even now, I need to remind myself of that, because I could compare myself to whoever it might be, Tony Robbins, and say, wow, look at his empire. That's amazing. I just want to be there. Well, it takes a few steps to get from where we are to where we might want to be. Little bit, couple of steps.
Got to walk over over the fire a lot of times.
Well, yeah. So we all want to avoid those hot coals, right? We want to take the shortcut. We want to float over the hot coals and avoid any type of whatever. We won't go too far down that road of. But for me, it was a step. And it was a step that allowed other steps, and through serendipity, and I have a strong faith now, ultimately God working in my life, really can see in hindsight all of those different forces outside of myself working. So I ended up working at, I needed a job. I mean, drug selling, high school dropout doesn't look great on resumes to most companies.
Very risky as well.
Very risky. Yeah, you never know.
Riskier than being an iron worker.
It's true. I would say so. Because the relapse rate's like 40 to 60% for those that fall into addiction. So it's a difficult, rough journey. You asked me at the beginning where my low spot was, talking about ups and downs. I overdosed in high school. I just about died. The nurse called on 911. Ambulance took me to the hospital, and my heart almost stopped, quite literally.
Damn.
So to say that was a low point, it wasn't the low point, because I had many. I mean, day in, day out, there were so many low points that really just are part of my journey. So I share it, one, not to glorify any of it by any stretch, or to say that
to educate.
And ultimately, it's so that listeners can even hear themselves in the story. Again, it's not just about drugs and alcohol. It's about character change. It's about growth. And we all have difficult times. At different times, we might all struggle with, maybe it's not full-blown depression and suicidal ideation, but maybe it's just feeling down and not wanting to get off the couch or go and work towards accomplishing all that's possible in our lives. And more is possible in our lives than we can ever imagine. And for me, I needed people to, one, see that and believe that and show that to me, because I didn't see it. I lacked hope. And that was a big part of my drinking, drugging. I didn't necessarily see how I could survive financially and build a life. And that caused stress and angst, even as a teenager. And teenagers, think about this. For the parents out there, I mean, I have a 15-year-old son, and he's not super expressive. He's not going to tell me everything that happened at school, but it's all whirring around in his mind. He's constantly thinking, constantly trying to figure out, who am I in this world? What can I become? What's the path to get there? And whether it's teens or adults, maybe it's a second or third act after going through another career that maybe it's no longer possible, or no longer provides the income that's necessary, or maybe it just doesn't have that spark. Maybe it's not truly living and walking in your purpose. Well, we all can grow, and having other people along that journey makes all the difference. And for me, it did.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And you did mention your low point, but something that a lot of people don't realize as well, when you're in addiction, there's a lot of those low points you don't remember.
It's true.
Which it can be very scary. Very scary. So with the addiction, when did that actually end?
So it was July 1999.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I've been sober since, really by grace.
Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you. And it is still just one day at a time. Because not only is it chemical recovery, it's also character recovery. It's ongoing work. It's ongoing growth. And again, with addictions, not every listener can necessarily relate, but process addictions are something that's really just, they're not talked about enough. And process addictions are very similar, just different substance that still causes a chemical reaction in our brains. So there are reasons why there's Spenders Anonymous, Debtors Anonymous, Gamblers Anonymous. People joke sometimes about retail therapy because ultimately it's seeking that high, quote unquote, which again, it's a chemical process within the brain. It really is a high, and it's exciting. It's invigorating for the moment. You said just a moment ago, Rich, right? And the moment we feel better, But then all of a sudden the consequences hit and we see that credit card bill, or we see the destruction in relationships,
and here comes the anxiety and depression.
So much so. And it's a vicious cycle. So many millions. I mean, there's one psychologist that estimated 100% of the population at some point struggles with an addiction of one type or another.
I believe that.
Yeah, me too. Because
I mean, you think about it, there's so many different addictions out there, and people don't. I mean, I've talked to people that have had sex addictions, food addictions. Look how many people cannot stop drinking coffee.
Yep.
That's a caffeine. That's an addiction. There's. I just had somebody on the other day. Digital addiction. People that constantly have to be on their phone, on their computer or whatever, and they can't do without it, which is probably one of the worst addictions out there.
It's
right
huge.
now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and it's driving the mental illness up even higher.
It is.
It's crazy. All right, so you start recovery in 99. We're lips here. 1999. Now, job-wise, career-wise, what were you doing at the time?
Anything I could. I worked at a pizza shop for one day. I worked at a gas station for a week. Really bounced around, trying to find my way, ultimately.
What you wanted to do.
So I worked in retail and worked at a place called the Sports Authority and was recruited while I was working there.
Is that still around?
I'm not sure it is. It's not around us anymore.
Okay, I haven't seen one
Dick's
either.
Sporting Goods, Cabela's, others have taken over. But back in like 98, 99 or so, there was one near me. So I applied and worked there. I was recruited while I was working there to become an assistant manager. I was like 18 at the time, and an assistant manager at a place called the Bombay Company. And I don't know if that's around anymore either. Home Good. I had never heard of it.
Wow. I haven't heard of that in a long time.
For listeners, your brows are furring like, what is that? I didn't know either. It was new to me.
No, I remember it, but I haven't heard that name in a long time. God knows forever.
It's been a while.
Holy cow.
So started working there. And one day a week, there was somebody who came out from Boston. This was in the suburbs. So it's about 25, 30 miles west of Boston. And he didn't have a car. He took taxis and public transportation to work one day a week in the stockroom. And I was like, that doesn't even make sense. He probably spent about as much to get there as he made. But he was a professional musician. He had a Best of Boston band and was amazing. So in hindsight, I look at it as he was sent to meet me as an angel, whether people believe in angels or not. So he invited me out to this church and drug recovery program. And I was like, no, I'm good. Thanks, though. I still have to smoke weed on Sunday. So that, and I not even just to totally joke about, but that was my mindset. I didn't want anything to do with it. And he continued just to build a friendship. He invited me out. I played percussion, congas and bongos and djembe and fun stuff that I still love and enjoy.
Oh, wow.
And he invited me out, played with his band and went to a gig and met some of the other bandmates and guys also who were just living clean lives and lives of purpose. So they were encouraging me and all of that kind of thing. So all that to say, there was a community of other people who were sober and inviting me to live a clear-minded, sober kind of life. And at the time, I still didn't see it. I didn't picture it, but there was some persistence. And not in the, knock on my door every 2 seconds kind of, but we're here for you. We think that you can live a better life, and we're happy to help. So eventually I went out it was a Bible-based drug recovery program, and took a while just to feel comfortable. At first, it was a lot of older people. Again, at the time I was in 99, I would like 18, 19 or so.
Right.
So there were some older people that, had a beer without telling their spouse. Was a specific kind of instance that I remember in my mind, like, what? That's not a problem. I mean, that's the only thing that's challenging your life right now. You must have it pretty good, was really my thought. What woke me up was There was one other person in that group that I kind of related to. He sold drugs in his background and had been in and out of prison a bit. And I remember he relapsed and ended up incarcerated. And it was kind of a wake-up call to say, wow, the only other person I could relate to in that group from life circumstance was the one that was now incarcerated. And that really motivated me to continue really that internal work that was necessary, because my heart was hard. There were calluses on my heart. Drug dealing, just the whole culture around drugs and drinking is a hard-hearted one, a selfish one. And that transformation of moving from selfish to selfless has made all the difference in my life, because my story is not about me. I shared this background not because, it was difficult and I went through it. I feel like I went through it so that I can share with others that there is always hope. No matter how dark the days, how difficult the night, there is always hope. And I didn't see it at the time. I needed other people to say, hey, Matt, there's hope. I didn't picture myself surviving to see 20 years old. I mentioned overdosing, the life that I was living. I couldn't imagine. I couldn't picture it. It wasn't tangible. It wasn't real. And therefore I had no idea what the steps were even to get there. I needed other people in my life to show me
people that weren't giving up on you.
Very much so. People who inspired hope, that there was going to be a future beyond just surviving one day at a time, which is what I was doing still. To really moving towards a mind shift. And that's part of what I help people do now, to go from surviving in a scarcity mindset, wondering when the next meal is going to be, or maybe it's not as severe as wondering when the next meal is going to be, but thinking about how am I going to pay for my kid to go on the field trip with their friends, or bigger questions like how am I going to pay for school or retirement, or can we ever get out of this debt, or all the other stresses that people feel financially day in, day out. So eventually I completely shifted just the life that I was living. I got sober, as I shared, really became invested in this community of sober-minded people who were living lives that were biblically based, which really two major tenets was love God and love people. And it is an ongoing process for me to learn just how is it that I can use the best of what I have and live in my purpose to give to others, to serve others, and live that life of service. And for me, that's exciting. That's fulfilling. So at the time, I was still a kid trying to figure it out. I didn't know exactly what that meant, but needed a job. I ended up moving in with some other guys that ended up really being more like mentors to me, because I didn't have a solid income.
Which is good.
It was good. Yeah, for me, I needed it because I was living in an unhealthy situation with a couple of women and getting by day to day. That it just wasn't good by any stretch, physically, mentally, emotionally, all of the above. So moved in because of that, needed a job, and of this company that I had never heard of, American Consumer Credit Counseling, took a chance on me. At the time, I was a 19-year-old kid. So this was now October 1999. So all that long-windedness was a few months.
Well, actually, one quick question. Are you still affiliated with that group, those men that helped you out?
Yes.
I want to say drum circle.
Yeah, I am. So I actually play in our church band. So I stopped playing professionally years ago. It was fun getting into the studio, recording music and all of that. So now it's just a volunteer playing the church band. And I love it. Amazing.
Wait a minute. You used to play professionally?
I did. I'll use air quotes, professionally. So playing at a bar,
like studio work.
Going out. So we had dreams of grandeur. Maybe it was similar to yours, as being a rock star and going on tour. And we did some touring, but I mean, ultimately you get gas money and maybe a meal, and
still sleeping in the van.
So I mean,
down by the river.
It's not that glamorous. Chris Farley's hilarious. Fortunately, we didn't fall through anybody's coffee table.
God.
But yeah, it was a life, it was an inflection point for me in my career. So I was working at American Consumer Credit Counseling and then going out at night and playing gigs. And it was exhausting. I mean, it was hard to wake up because when you play a gig at 1, 2, whatever a.m. and then try to get up and work a 9 to 5, it's only a matter of time before your body falls apart or your whole mental health deteriorates completely. So I made the choice that I wanted more stability. I wanted to be able to grow a family. I started to date someone who's now my wife. So that was about 24-ish years ago. And eventually just made the decision, I'm not going to pursue this as a career, but I still love doing it and still play with other friends and some great opportunities. I'm just now pausing, thinking about some of my friends who play and amazing careers. Joe Galeota, shout out. He makes African drums. And
why do I know that name?
He was a drummer that played on Indiana Jones soundtrack. He was a professor at Berklee College of Music. He's been around and but incredible man of faith. I think more than any of his other accolades, incredible man of faith and generous in so many ways. He's an amazing guy, but he was one of the ones that was there encouraging me. I remember sitting around and we were taking inventory of our lives and everybody wrote down what they had and what they envisioned. And I wrote down, literally, I had a sleeping bag, a couple of pairs of clothes and a drum. And he just leaned over on my paper and added an S to it, drums. And at the time I was like, what are you doing writing on my paper? But in his mind, it was collectively, we have drums. Collectively, you have more than you need to really live a life of purpose that's bigger than you, even bigger than what you can imagine. And for him, he saw that vision of infinite possibility beyond what my one sleeping bag, couple of pairs of clothes, one drum having person who was sleeping on a floor. Still, it was a wood floor. Somebody moved out and there was a vacancy. He's had a vision greater than my own for myself. And again, that's part of that intrinsic, extrinsic motivations and people in our lives along the way. And part of the reason also why I never believe in self-made person. That's just a fallacy.
Yeah.
That's ego speaking. I truly believe
I agree with
we
that.
need people. We need each other.
People don't realize a lot of times that they have mentors behind them and don't even realize it a lot.
It's true.
They're the ones that help you.
It's true.
Yeah. So, all right, you decided to give up the plan. Now, were you still with the not American Cancer?
God. That's a different group. I did a 300-mile cycle with them in March, which was amazing.
Wow.
That's a whole nother part of my story.
American Credit Counseling.
Yes.
That's who
American Consumer Credit Counseling. It's ACCC is easier. Most people.
That's all I meant.
It's easy. I mean, it's long. So it took me years to get the name down. I worked there 20 years.
20 years. So that's where you learned about finances and all that. Okay.
Exactly. So when I started, I didn't know anything. I was a 19-year-old kid and just trying to get by and needed a job. They gave a chance on me.
Job training, baby. On the job training.
Most definitely. So while I was there, in addition to the on-the-job training, I also obtained my GED, took some college classes at a local community college. Shout out community colleges. I know you have a connection with yours. They're amazing resources in the community for a lot of different things. I became certified as a credit counselor, certified financial educator, and a handful of other certifications that allowed me to provide more value to the organization and to people. So I continued my learning. I always love learning.
Yes, me too.
And if nobody's familiar with credit counseling, they are a great resource. It's a nonprofit. There's not the only one, but as a nonprofit provides free counseling, free budget coaching. You can call and get help to get out of debt. And that's where most people call the organization. And as now like a 20-year-old kid counseling people, the calls were heavy because people called with all the financial stress. As you mentioned through just the introduction to our conversation now, people have a lot of financial stress. And
especially during I keep saying housing crash, but not the housing crash. You know what
there
I'm
was,
talking about,
there was a big housing crash. There was AIG. There was lots of financial turbulence.
The Ponzi schemes. A lot of people
Bernie Madoff. All kinds of stuff. Maybe we shouldn't mention names before somebody comes after us. We won't be libelous, but they happened. I mean, people take advantage of other people, and greed is a huge motivator to a lot of different people, not just companies. And it's sad. It's unfortunate. It exists. So education is critical to avoid that, to avoid being taken advantage of, and to help protect our loved ones too. So eventually, I mean, to give a specific example, one call that still sticks with me from those days, a gentleman called and just within the first 5 minutes of speaking, shared how there was financial infidelity. His spouse had racked up a ton of debt and asking me if they should get a divorce. And I was like, whoa, that's heavy. I don't know you like that. I'm a kid. I mean, I'm still learning my way in this world. I'm not going to give you advice. And obviously
you're not a marriage counselor.
Yeah, so I referred them specifically for some relationship counseling. But I could help with their credit card debt. And we had a program to do that. But that's one example. I mean, other people call with $500,000 in credit card debt, hundreds of thousands for others. Medical debt. I mean, the majority of bankruptcies have medical debt that are included, and whether it caused it, cause, effect, whatever that ultimately health challenges cause financial stress for people. It's not just health, that the finances are certainly part of that too.
Damn, hospitals are expensive as hell.
They are. And insurance, all of that. It is intense.
You're listening to Conversations with Rich Bennett. We'll be right back. I want to tell you about my friends over at Elite Power Washing. They take care of pressure washing, house washing, roof cleaning, gutter cleaning. They are truly the elite company when it comes to pressure washing. To see their work, to see what they've done, everything looks brand new. And there are even a lot of businesses out there that use them as well. Sean and Tina and their crew know what they're doing. They know how to make your property look like it's brand new. And again, I mean, they handle everything. Pressure washing, house washing, which, yes, there is a difference. Roof cleaning, gutter cleaning, window cleaning, concrete cleaning, paver cleaning, deck cleaning. So whether you're in Baltimore, Harford, or Cecil County, if you need something taken care of when it comes to pressure washing, call the Elite Power Washing team. They will get it done for you. They are the exterior cleaning professionals. They know what they're doing. Go to elitepowerwashingmd.com or call them at 410-705-9274. Again, it's 410-705-9274. Tell them Rich from Harford County Living sent you.
I had the idea that just helping people through emergencies just didn't feel like it was enough. I wanted to be able to be proactive. I wanted to help empower people and provide tools to avoid all that stress, avoid the relational strife. For listeners, maybe you're not at the point where there was financial infidelity and maybe you were honest with each other, but there's still debt. That causes a lot of tension in so many relationships.
Oh, absolutely.
So I helped to establish the education outreach group. And we started teaching classes all over the place. It was a blast. I loved it. So when I say all over the place, I mean pre-K to rehab senior center facilities.
Wow.
We went into prisons. I created a program with the FDIC and bringing in volunteers to the Department of Corrections. Went into homeless shelters, family shelters, domestic violence shelters, as well as employee assistance programs, different companies, engineering firms, insurance firms, banks, financial institutions, and really helping to elevate knowledge to bring just-in-time information for some. The difference between fixing different issues on a credit report, sometimes it was identity theft, fixing those issues so that that person could get out of shelter and become housed. Many people don't know that credit reports can affect jobs. And I
absolutely.
appreciate your service, Rich. And in the military,
Honor.
credit affects people's security clearance. I remember counseling a high-ranking military official, and he had a bunch of credit card debt. And it was showing up on his credit report that he was having a hard time struggling with it. And he called completely stressed out because his security clearance, his very job, was at risk because the military constantly looks at people's credit reports. It's a security, it's written explicitly, it's a security threat. And many employers look at credit reports when they consider who they're going to hire. They consider it a matter of character, not just money, but how it's managed and trying to gain insight, whether people agree with it or not, but to gain insight into how people manage their lives as well.
Some nonprofits do too. When you want to be a board member,
They do. Yeah.
some of the because especially if you're coming on, as treasurer, well, it doesn't matter. You're still dealing with money.
Yeah.
And it's important. People need to know who they're dealing with.
It's true. It is. It's important.
Before we get into, because I definitely want to cover, was it the whole health, wealth, and your business? But in the beginning, in the intro, I mentioned how you faced down cancer. What type of cancer was it, and when did you find out about that?
So that was bile duct cancer.
What?
Bile duct cancer. So
what in the world is that?
Cholangiocarcinoma. Shout out Cholangiocarcinoma Foundation. It's a very rare, very aggressive type of cancer. Very rare, is fewer than 10,000 diagnoses a year.
Wow.
So it's intense. So we'll fast forward through all that career stuff. I was there at American ACCC for 20 years. My wife and I adopted a child who had just greater emotional needs than we were able to handle in our jobs. So when I left ACCC, it was a difficult decision. I was managing other speakers and going out and speaking myself. And like I said, I loved it. It was a fantastic job. And left so that it was just burnout. Ultimately.
Yeah.
My wife is a biochemist and she manages just different programs. And we were both really, really busy.
Both busy as hell.
With nonprofits. I mean, there was the work during the day, but all the administrative stuff and grants and all of the above that went along with that. So we created like an 8-month plan. If you ask her, she wished that it would have happened like 9 months sooner. But we created like an 8-month plan for me to transition out of that position, to transfer some institutional knowledge, set up the program so that it'd be successful once I left.
Okay.
And left so that I could start my own speaking and consulting company. 6 months after I left, and this gets back to your question and tying sort of the two together. 6 months after I started my LLC, I was diagnosed with bile duct cancer. Wow. So it was a rough road. At first, I kind of ignored it. The symptoms, kind of in hindsight, for a couple months, I didn't feel well. Oh, I probably ate something bad. Dismissed it. My skin started getting itchy. Oh, I was probably just doing landscaping. It was around June or so, and I probably just had some sort of rash and it's just not visible. So dismissed it. Eventually became really difficult to eat and keep down food and became jaundiced. My skin and eyes were like glowing neon yellow. And my wife said, her being the logical of the two, maybe you figured, you haven't talked to her yet, but you get that pretty quickly. She's the logical one in our relationship. She said, Matt, that
same. Yeah.
That ain't right. You got to go get,
wow.
She was much more intelligent with her choice of words to help persuade me to actually go get checked out. But I was just being an idiot, not paying attention to the signs. And I think that's the case, isn't it? For so many of us in so many areas of our life.
Yeah.
We have financial signs that, we kind of missed a couple of payments, but we'll get through it. We'll get past it. We're having trouble buying the groceries, but that's okay. We have some food in the pantry. We'll put it together and we'll get by. And after time, sometimes months, sometimes years, the problems don't just go away. They continue to build. And then all of a sudden it feels insurmountable. And whether it's financial stress, mental stress, environmental stress, and thinking about where we live and organization and making sure that it's clear, that affects our mental health as well. Because if we're constantly tripping over stuff and trash or books or piles or whatever that it is, well, that's just discouraging. And then again, it builds, it mounts and becomes insurmountable. We're not sure where to start. So for my health, that's kind of where it was. It all of a sudden, so July 2019, I was teaching a class in Boston and didn't feel well, went home and called my wife to pick up my son, laid down to try to rest and sleep it off, and woke up on the floor, having rolled off the bed in a pile of blood that I had vomited.
Oh my God.
And crawled to the bathroom, more blood, and was home alone. I managed to crawl back to the bedroom to dial 911, and the ambulance came and took me to the hospital. And immediately after, I coded on the table as soon as I got there. And
wow.
The doctors told my wife that I was unlikely I'd survive the night, that she should start making plans. And they went in endoscopically, so through the mouth and with the endoscope, and took a look, and there was just blood gushing, but no one focal point to intervene surgically. So my wife, being an incredible woman of faith, just started praying. She called friends and they started praying. Obviously, I survived that night. But it was really just by grace. I needed 8 bags of blood for a transfusion.
Whoa.
So I had like a main arterial pick and multiple lines to put in multiple bags of blood simultaneously. And it was a close call. I was in the ICU, intubated for days, and took a while to recover.
Do they know what caused it?
So in hindsight, yeah. So the fortunate thing was that I was close enough to Mass General Hospital, one of the best hospitals in the world,
right.
really. So that's where I was diagnosed with cholangiocarcinoma. So it's cancer of the bile ducts. And I never thought about my bile ducts before.
No.
But essentially the bile ducts create bile, which is essential for digesting fats and foods. So those ducts branch out throughout the liver, out into the gallbladder, where bile is on demand through the digestive system, so that we can get the nutrients and everything and live and survive. So pancreatic cancer is a little bit more common and known. So if you think of it, for a listener, sort of kind of similarly, in that it's the same area, it has to do with digestion, and it's also a pretty grim prognosis. So the average life expectancy from diagnosis with cholangiocarcinoma is about 12 months or so.
Wow.
So the multidisciplinary medical team, while I was there in the hospital, came together to create a plan. And that plan was to have chemo, then radiation, more chemo, and then a liver transplant. A liver transplant really is not the only way to survive, but one of the greatest hopes currently. Because it's such a rare and aggressive cancer, there's not tons of resources that are put towards it. So I mentioned the name multiple times because it's just the awareness needs to elevate. But Cholangiocarcinoma Foundation, fantastic organization. If anybody has symptoms or anything like that, their website, CCF, is incredible. So they have a chock full of resources on their website to look at whether it's symptoms or help other people. Liver cancer, by the way, is on track to be the 3rd most deadly cancer in the world within the next few years. So it's significant.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. It's significant. So the silver lining through all of that is I've been able to meet some of the most incredible, amazing people that are just involved. I never would have known without having the cancer. That being said, I couldn't get on stages and speak to organizations. Shortly after that, I mentioned the date, July 2019. It was really just a handful of months after that, March 2020, when everything shut down because of COVID in the US and around the world. So I did some things on Zoom, and fortunately Zoom was a little bit more popular.
I wish I had stock in them. But
hindsight's always 2020. Hindsight's always 2020. So I put my energy into writing a book because I couldn't get out and about. So the book is called Financially Capable, A Friendly Guide to Building Whole Health Wealth. And really it's the culmination of the lessons learned from speaking to over 100,000 people, all the different clients and courses that I taught, people who I helped get out of debt and reach different financial goals. I learned tremendously through. I mean, when we talk about the chapter on budgeting is called the dirty B word, because we don't want to talk about it. I mean, budgeting, come on now. I mention it. And people like tensed up right away. Like, what's he going to tell me to do? How many things that I have to cancel, subscriptions that I love? I want my Netflix. I got to afford it. I have Netflix, and this is not a plug for them. But we pay for stuff. Right? We live in a society where consumerism runs it. If we all of a sudden stop buying stuff, we wouldn't have a country as we know it. That's part of life.
That's why you've seen a lot of things like, you used to be able to buy Microsoft Office, all these certain things you pay for one time. Yeah. Everybody went to subscription.
Yeah.
Because they get more money.
It's true. And they continue to update it, and the old ones no longer work. If you have a cell phone, I remember the days of BlackBerry, or that thing would never die. It was like a brick. But now,
all right, I'm going to show my age even more. I remember we didn't have cell phones; we had pagers. Yeah. And if you got the page, you'd have to find a payphone.
It's true. Yeah. That's what we used with drug dealing. We had a bag of pagers. So when I left, we were planning on ramping operations up, and memory for a different time. But it was different. It was different. Or you called collect and really quickly tried to get the message through. Hey, this is Matt. I'll be home in 10 minutes. Okay.
Or you just call collect and they hear it's from you. You're safe and don't know that. Will not accept the charges.
Save the quarter.
Wow. So when did the book come out?
So the book came out in 2023.
Okay.
So it took a lot to write it. I mean, I was in and out of the hospital a lot through the cancer treatments.
Yeah.
There were times whether it was a month at a time, a period where I was in and out every week, my bile ducts continued to get backed up and I became septic. So lots of infections.
Oh, God.
So it would have to go get IVs, antibiotics, and try to get the bile ducts drained. Shout out to Dr. Kumar Krishnan. He's amazing. He called himself my plumber, one of the most humble guys, but he kept me going. He literally kept me alive until I could get that transplant. And then there were post-transplant complications too. But the book, was written during that time where I couldn't get out and about and interact with people like I love doing. But I wanted to create something of value that I could still send out to people, that I could still help people despite my lack of energy or ability to get out and about. And that was really it. In addition to that, it also gave me some purpose to keep on going day in, day out, to wake up and know, okay, I have something to do besides focus on not dying, which is just not a good place to be. And it can be a place, I mentioned that because for listeners, maybe you've never dealt with cancer, but through life, sometimes we can feel like, I just want to not die today. Maybe it's stress from kids, maybe it's other demands of the job, whatever that it is. And when we walk through life with the feeling and thought of, I just want to not die today, things get kind of bleak.
Yeah.
There's hope beyond that. We can move from that mindset towards abundance. And abundance doesn't mean the biggest pile of cash and doing better than everybody else that I know. Abundance is a mindset, which for me includes daily gratitude. I'm grateful that I'm no longer in the hospital today. I'm grateful that I can feel the sun on my face. That doesn't cost me money. It just takes a perspective shift. So the book was actually launched while I was in the hospital. I didn't picture it. I really wanted to go on book tour and all the things you might picture when people go on Oprah. And I pictured being on Oprah at one point, or whatever your other favorite talk show host is, and all of the things. I was in the hospital. I delayed it a couple of times because of hospitalizations, but eventually said done is better than perfect. I need to just get it out. And even if I can't do every single activity as I would want to do, done is better than perfect. It can't help anybody that's only stuck in my head. So launched the book from the hospital with my team. I couldn't have done that alone by any stretch. And it's been an amazing journey since. It's won 7 different awards. So it's quality, which was my goal. But the book is broken into 3 different parts. The first section is about the world in which we live. And it's just as poignant now, today, in 2025 as it was in 2023, because it includes politics. It includes systemic racism. It includes all of the different rules and regulations and things that we can't control day in and day out in and of ourselves, but they certainly affect us and how we live. So,
which can affect your wealth.
Most definitely. So knowing and understanding that helps and is important. The second section to becoming financially capable is about financial psychology. So it gets into addictions. It gets into our first money memories. I don't know, Rich, do you remember your first money memory at all, or maybe one of your earliest memories?
Selling grit newspaper.
Okay. Tell us. I'm curious.
Because the newspapers down here as a kid, you always wanted to make money. So we would mow lawns, we would shovel snow and all that. But I really wanted to deliver newspapers because it was constant. It was once a week. But there was already a family, actually a couple doors down from me. They already had the newspaper routes. So it's like, well, there's got to be another newspaper. And I found Grit newspaper, which was nationwide. A lot of people didn't hear of it. And that's what I was doing. That was I'm going to say that was, my first real money moment, real job.
Yeah.
And I forget how old I was, maybe 12 or 13 at the time.
That's great.
Matter of fact, it was because it was after I read, burn it. Not How to Win Friends and Influence People. It was the other one, by Napoleon Hill. Oh, I can't believe that it's going out of my mind. Not The Law of Success. Anyways, it was after I read that book. It's like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. But, growing up, we would do all different things, whether it be mowing lawns and all. But Grit newspaper is one that really sticks with me.
How would you say that that's affected you in managing money now as an adult?
Well, I really wasn't managing my money at the time. I'm better now than I was, I would say, even 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Because what helped me a lot, when I was in the car business, which is strictly commission, it was hard to budget your income, budget your money. Very hard.
Yep.
There were times where I was about to lose my house and everything. So you learn anytime you do sales when it's commission, it's hard. And it just, but at the same time, you got to learn how to.
It's true.
So I think it was those times that I struggled, and I think the last time, because I was about to lose the house and I had to borrow money from my parents, and that's embarrassing, or at least it was embarrassing for me.
Sure. That's amazing. It's interesting. Even the name of that newspaper, I see you as someone with tremendous grit, who's overcome a lot of different obstacles. And with that grit, determination, perseverance, have been able to now be able to help a lot of other people. So commission sales is difficult. Door-to-door selling or bringing newspapers is difficult, especially when there's other neighborhood competition. But you persevered and became now a person who gives to other people and inspires other kids who are thinking about a newspaper route. That I think is awesome.
And the great thing about it is, through all those things that I did, especially when you do sales, I'm involved with a lot of nonprofits. And you learn how to ask for donations as well. The only problem is with nonprofits, especially when you get into local nonprofits, you can only ask the same businesses so many times because and you see it all the time. I think here, just in our county, there's over 800 nonprofits. The same business is not going to give to 800 different nonprofits.
It's true.
And it can be a struggle at times, knocking on the door, say, hey, here we are. You can have the best nonprofit in the world, but some businesses cannot do it all the time. That's a whole nother podcast.
It is.
Something
It is.
people
But it's
realize.
It's an important one. I think too many people don't understand how much of our economic engine in the U.S. is driven by nonprofits. I was the treasurer of a group here, a nonprofit called Metro West Nonprofit Network. So our job was to help strengthen and support other nonprofits. And like you said, there's probably similar-ish. Baltimore's demographic, not too much different than Boston. Obviously, it's different. Not to compare the two. We're not going to get into Ravens versus Patriots here and now. We're talking about service and nonprofits. But there's like 800 or so nonprofits in the area, and so many are solo nonprofits, one, maybe two people who are trying to compete sometimes for the same pots of money. And it is difficult and challenging at the same time.
Actually, do you cover nonprofits in your book at all?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Actually, the president and my mentor at American Consumer Credit Counseling, Steve, had a saying that if a nonprofit is not run like a more traditional business, then there is no business with a mission to be able to serve other people.
And I think that's where a lot of people that start nonprofits, I think that's where they mess up. A nonprofit is still a business. Yeah. You run it like a business. Otherwise, it's going to end up folding.
Yep. It's true.
You finding volunteers all the time to run, and technically with a nonprofit, you cannot have volunteers coming on to do everyday things.
Yep.
You're going to have a staff that you got to pay. Plain and simple, if you want that nonprofit to be successful. But you're right. That's a whole nother podcast.
It's true. It's true.
That's another episode.
We'll say for nonprofit or for profits, we got to risk it for the biscuit. If we just rely on volunteers, don't take that risk in hiring people, bringing them on. Same in for-profit or even commission sales. You got to get out there. And if you're not out there, which is risky, which is a position of vulnerability, then there's zero growth.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You definitely have to. Granted, times have changed on the ways to get out there, but you can still get out there. Is the book in audio form as well?
I haven't published it in audio form.
Yet?
Yeah. I thought about it. I thought actually about putting it out for free, like on YouTube, in sections, maybe. We'll see how that goes.
Do it in audible form.
Yeah.
Is it self-published, or did you go through a publishing company?
I created a publishing company. Vernon Street Publishing is mine that I built to publish the company. So my goal in self-publishing, I think it's such a wide scope of books available under the auspices of self-publishing. Not all are to the same level of quality as professionally published books. Right. My goal was to have a professionally published book so that it was indistinguishable from Penguin, Random House, whoever else.
Yeah.
I just didn't have 10 million to go and market it. But yeah, so the book, I mentioned that middle section, financial psychology, why we do what we do, all of that's really important and a huge part of finances. Because if we're not able to be self-controlled, if we're not understanding our belief and value systems, then we're flailing both in life, but also financially, because we start chasing after all different directions and, oh, that sounds good. And, oh, that sounds good. And let me try. And it applies to our personal lives and business as well. If we in business go off in 100,000 different directions, then they all fail, because it's impossible to put all of our energy into every single thing at the same time. And having focus, and that's something that you mentioned, that you've had focus. It's essential. It's necessary. And we can have little tangents and try little things here and there, but we need focus in our lives. For me, a primary focus is family, and we sacrificed. I left my career that was comfortable. It was a phenomenal career, so that I could focus on what was more important. And at the time, that was family, raising our son,
and God,
giving him everything that he needed to be able to grow up with what he didn't have for his first few years. I mentioned he was adopted, but he didn't have love or safety, security, and providing that direction and support to him for us was essential. So I say that because it's necessary in our own lives, not just whether we adopt or not, but we need to be clear about our values and goals. We need to be clear about the different ways that we think. My wife and I are very, very different when it comes to managing money and other parts of life too. And
Likewise.
I am the rambler, the tangential runner after her. She is laser focused. So we come together because I say that because it's necessary. For me, I tend to come with vision. So even when we adopted, I mean, she looked at, here's what we have to do today to overcome so that we can grow and see tomorrow and do that successfully. For me, it's, wow, this is amazing that this one kid has an opportunity. And it's helped us grow tremendously. It wasn't a savior complex for us. It was, we wanted to grow our family, and we've grown in unconditional love and understanding in so many ways, becoming parents. Great. But for me, my mind automatically goes to systemic issues of foster care and adoption. And it starts to think about, well, how can we really change those things more globally? And I think about that in all types of things. In education, he's in special education now at a private daytime therapeutic school. And it's phenomenal that he gets that help that he needs. And it's essential. He was diagnosed with PTSD, and in public school daily, it was just overwhelming. And we had to hire an advocate to help us to get the supports that he really needed. I mean, the teachers, the principal all said, we're not able to support him with what he really needs as a young developing kid. For us, that was phenomenal. In my mind, I think about the systemic disparity between people who can afford to hire an advocate and those who can't. Just because they can't hire, a family can't hire an advocate doesn't mean that the academic needs aren't just as great, if not greater.
Yes.
So for me, my mind starts to think more globally and holistically. How can we help incite change so that kids receive what they need? Because kids are the future. I mean, from an economic standpoint alone, research shows that roughly for every $1 that we invest in early childhood development, there's a 10x return. So it produces overall in the economy. It's not a law. It's not just an expense. When we invest in kids, I mean, when you stop and think about it, when we invest in kids, that is our future.
You're investing into the future. Exactly.
So much so. I mean, at some point, if I live long enough, I'll need somebody, to help me get my food, and hopefully I don't need diaper changing, but maybe, I don't know. We need kids to do that. I want them to be well trained so they can do that and not leave me like flailing.
Yeah, I already said that to my daughter, and she said, no, that's your son's job.
Well,
my son doesn't live here with us. So it's like, if I could do it for my parents, I mean, granted, hopefully that time will never come.
Yeah.
But you never know.
It's true.
So something very important, because I'm looking at the time here, something very important. A couple things. Number one, you're back to speaking, right?
Yes.
All right. So tell everybody, are you coaching too, or just speaking?
Speaking. Yeah. So it's more B2B. I'm working with businesses, employers.
All right. So how can people get in touch with you?
My website is mattparadise.com.
Why is it so difficult? Why such a hard website? No, I'm joking.
Hey, I didn't choose the name. I was born with it.
Well, it could have been. No, I'm just glad you didn't do something like Matt Paradise Wealth Health, and like a long one.
Yeah.
And how can people find your book?
So it's where books are purchased. So Amazon, Barnes and Noble, all different bookstores.
Those of you listening, you already know what I'm going to say. So when you go and buy Matt's book, Financially Capable, A Friendly Guide to Building Whole Health Wealth, after you read it, make sure you leave a full review, whether it be on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Goodreads, wherever you can leave reviews. Leave it on all of them. And then keep it. Don't pass it on to somebody else. Keep it because it's a guide, but purchase it for other people. I think it would make a great birthday present, Christmas present in general for anybody. Purchase it for them. Purchase several copies for people. So, Matt, before I get to my last question, which I have no idea what it's going to be, is there anything you would like to add?
No matter where we are in life, there's always room for growth, and there's always hope. And I think that's such an important message. So as we talk about even, and I know we're wrapping up on time, the concept of whole health wealth is the well-researched idea that the different domains of well-being are inseparable. They're interconnected. So our financial health, our environmental health, our emotional health, our spiritual health, our physical health, our relational health, our occupational health, they all affect each other. I found that out certainly through cancer, though I've known it through my life and dealing with drugs and the ups and downs, the highs, the lows. And more importantly, I've seen it in so many people that I've had the privilege and opportunity to help and learn from. Families who struggle just to put food on the table, families who struggle to save for their kid to go to school or give them the best possible opportunity, families who struggle to reach for dreams that are beyond just the day-to-day survival. And all those thoughts, feelings, those stresses are palpable, but there's always hope. There's always a way. And that really is the heart of the book, to help encourage people to know that life isn't just about money and being the person with the biggest pile and end up a miserable, rich, lonely person. We have an epidemic of loneliness in the U.S.
Yes.
We need each other. And that mental health, that encouragement, getting out there and supporting like some of the nonprofits that Rich is involved in, supporting your local community college, supporting your community, because we are community. It is us and it affects all of us. We're interconnected. And for that, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for this conversation with you, Rich. I'm grateful that there's listeners who might take away something from this to really help improve their lives.
Well, I have a funny feeling we're going to be talking again.
I look forward to it.
I just have that feeling because you have a lot to offer. So this last question, like I said, I have no idea what it's going to be because I started something different. Some of the people I've asked, somehow or another, it's aligned with what we were talking about. So I have 100, you heard me right, 100 different questions. So pick a number between 1 and 100.
44.
Why 44? That's not the question, but why 44? Why I look for it.
Number 1.
Oh, no, I found 44 now, but why 44?
The first number that popped into my head.
Okay. This is actually pretty interesting. If you could share a meal with 3 people, living or dead, who would they be and why?
I suppose I choose 3 different people and 3 different meals. If I can stretch it out, there's something special about sitting with one other person, breaking bread and getting to know them intimately. So number 1, I'd choose my wife, just to sit down, enjoy that time with the two of us. We don't always get that luxury. We're caregivers.
A lot of people don't.
Her mom lives with us. When I was going through my cancer, her dad had lung cancer. He was diagnosed 6 months after me.
Geez.
So when I wasn't in the hospital, I was a caregiver, and my journey helped me be a better caregiver so that I could explain what chemo was like to him and be able to carry him through that. So I say that not like but in all seriousness with my wife, just to sit down, the two of us, and enjoy that time together.
I love that.
I would say, I'd have to go with my son next, just because
makes sense.
Ultimately, it is a joy and a pleasure and incredible responsibility just to have a kid, to be a dad, and to be able to help just guide and nurture and direct him, even though I can't make him anything like me. I can't make him to be anything like I think he should be. I love, there's a Khalil Gibran poem, On Children is what it's called. But ultimately, children, they're not ours to mold in our own image, likeness, or what we think they should be. But to be able to sit down and enjoy a meal and help just listen to him and impart any wisdom that he might be ready, open to receive, and just be together while we can. The third one, that's difficult because there's so many. There's so many. I'd start naming names, but that's going to take away from who I might actually be able to have a meal with. I guess I'll leave it. Rich, I'd love to have a meal with you. We're here. Zoom is incredible. Technology is incredible. But it'd be fantastic to not just talk through a screen, but sit and enjoy a meal together.
You bring down the lobster, I'll bring the Maryland steamed crabs.
Sounds like a delicious seafood meal to me.
Oh, yeah. I mean, because I understand lobster from up there is awesome.
I enjoy it.
Nobody
It
does
is good.
nobody does crabs better than Maryland.
It's true.
So I'm all for that.
Sounds good.
Matt, I want to thank you so much. It's been a true honor and a pleasure. Yeah, I know we're going to be staying in touch and we're going to be talking again. So thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for this conversation, but also thank you for all that you do with nonprofits, with the community around Maryland, with all that you do to really elevate other businesses and people to provide encouragement and hope. I appreciate that.
Thank you for listening to Conversations with Rich Bennett. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and learned something from it as I did. If you'd like to hear more conversations like this, be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you have a moment, I'd love it if you could leave a review. It helps us reach more listeners and share more incredible stories. Don't forget to connect with us on social media or visit our website at conversationswithrichbennett.com for updates, giveaways, and more. Until next time, take care, be kind, and keep the conversations going. You know, it takes a lot to put a podcast together. And my sponsors help out a lot, but I also have some supporters that actually help me when it comes to the editing software, the hosting, and so forth. There's a lot that goes into putting this together. So I want to thank them. And if you can, please visit their websites, visit their businesses, support them however you can. So please visit the following. Real Life Prosthetics, cutting edge solutions, restoring ability since 2001. Go to reallifeprosthetics.com. Full Circle Boards. Nobody does charcuterie like Full Circle Boards. Visit them at fullcircleboards.com. Sincerely Sawyer Photography. Live in the moment. They'll capture it. Visit them at sincerelysawyer.com.